If you don't know what to do, you won't play here. Are we clear on that? Okay. Last point I want to make. Everybody right now has dreams, don't they, guys? All right, everybody in the NFL, I have a dream of making it in the NFL. I got a dream of winning a Super Bowl. I got a dream of being in a Pro Bowl. I'm really not into dreams anymore, okay? I'm into fucking nightmares. You guys with me on that?
Mosh pit.
You got to end somebody's dream. You got to take their job. You got to take their heart. Are you guys clear about this NFL shit now? We're not trying to go to the Peach Bowl. We're not trying to go to the Gator Bowl or the Bluebonnet Bowl. We're trying to go to the Super Bowl.
The autumn wind is a pirate, blustering in from sea. With a rollicking song, he sweeps along, swaggering boisterously. The autumn wind is a raider, pillaging just for fun. He'll knock you round and upside down and laugh when he's conquered and won.
Just win, baby. I love it. You know, I sit in my office and I just shake. I get so excited.
What's good, Raider Nation? What's good, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. We got the Chiefs this week, as I'm sure you all know and are all excited for, as I am. Now, we've got a lot of news to cover. A lot of things are up in the air right now for this Chiefs game. Some players are on the COVID list for both teams. Things are shaping up to be quite an interesting news cycle for this week. But let's touch on some things from the last couple of days before we jump into the Chiefs. First things first, man. These Raiders moving up to a 70% chance of making the playoffs. Now, we've talked about playoff percentages on this channel before. I know they don't mean much, but I think it's cool to see the Raiders with a 70% chance of making the playoffs. And the coolest part about it is that the Raiders are in control of their own destiny this year. Last year, we had a chance to get into the playoffs, but it was hinging on other teams doing this, other teams winning, losing. This year, it's all in the Raiders' hands. The Raiders got to go out and beat the Dolphins and beat the Colts and win a couple of games here and there throughout the rest of the season, and they should be good to make the playoffs. So that's great, man. To be in control of your own destiny in the NFL is a huge plus. And, looking at this playoff list, the teams that we're ahead of right now, man, it gives me goosebumps. The Raiders are ahead of the Ravens. The Raiders are ahead of the Titans. Already beat the Browns. Got the Dolphins right behind the Raiders. The only team that's ahead of us technically is the Colts, but they're winning their division. But that's a team that could go either way. The Colts and the Titans in that AFC South. We might see the Colts or the Titans in that wild card spot. Who knows what's going to happen? But that's why it's so important to go out and beat the Colts, because if they do end up faltering a couple games, the Titans end up taking the South, then we're battling for the Colts for a wild card spot. We want to have that advantage. Now, I said the only team that's really ahead of us is the Colts. Obviously, I know there's 4 other teams ahead of us besides the Colts. What I meant was in the wild card race. Obviously, the Colts are winning right now in the AFC West, but the Titans are a good football team, so I think you're going to see some juggling at that spot, until the playoffs are seeded completely. So that's what I meant by the Colts are the only ones ahead of us, because I truly do not think that we're going to end up taking first place in the West. The Chiefs are just too good, and the Raiders have to go out, beat the Chiefs this week, and then have the Chiefs lose another game, and the Raiders have to win out. So the probability of the Raiders taking first in the West is not very good, so that's why I'm slating the Raiders as a wild card team. So maybe that makes no sense, but to me it makes sense to put the Colts ahead of the Raiders right now, and that's why I think it's so crucial to go out and beat the Dolphins and the Colts, because those are the teams that are really going to be playing for the wild card that we can control. We're not playing the Titans this year, so whatever the Titans do is up to the Titans. The Raiders have a chance to go control their own destiny between the Colts and the Dolphins. All right, let's move on to showing some guys some love. Jeff Heath named the AFC Defensive Player of the Week after 2 interceptions and a great game against the Broncos. And really, he could have had 3, man. That last interception that Nick Kwiatkowski pulled down with one hand, Jeff Heath was jumping in the air. That ball was behind the receiver, and he probably would have made a play on that and had 3 interceptions if it weren't for Nick Kwiatkowski's amazing one-handed catch. So, Jeff Heath's a guy that the Raiders brought in, in the offseason, and this was a dude that I said I'm not too excited about. I don't think he's going to bring much to this defense. He's kind of a middle-of-the-pack kind of guy, and I'm going to eat crow right now and say I was wrong. Jeff Heath is turning into a playmaker for this team. I think his experience in the secondary is really paying off. And honestly, I think he's better than Eric Harris. I'd like to see him playing most of the snaps back there from now on. He's proven to be a playmaker and somebody who can get the job done back there. Eric Harris is just a little shaky for me. I like the way that the guy plays. He plays hard. He plays physical. But just too many mistakes on his part. And, I haven't seen that from Jeff Heath. We've seen Jeff Heath in the 90 club for PFF twice this year. So I just want to give kudos to Jeff Heath, man. And like I said, I'm going to eat my words. I'm glad to have him. So I mentioned the PFF 90 club. The Raiders actually had 3 players on that list for last week. Derek Carr on the offense, and Jeff Heath, and Nevin Lawson. Surprisingly, Nevin Lawson found himself in the 90 club for PFF a week after we were dogging him. Now, look, I'm not going to say, look, his spot is saved in my opinion. I still see him get burnt way too much. He may have had a good game, PFF-wise, but, Drew Lock didn't really do anything to challenge him. On the first play of the game, or during the first drive, the Broncos had Jerry Jeudy wide open. Nevin Lawson was trailing him, and Drew Lock just overthrew him. So I kind of take these PFF grades with a grain of salt. It's kind of a really complex system on how they grade people. If you guys are interested in that, I could do a video on that going into depth, talk about how PFF grades players. But, this isn't the end-all, be-all for Nevin Lawson. The fact that he scored well on the PFF list this week doesn't really mean much. We know the kind of player that Nevin Lawson has been for us so far. So with that being said, man, kudos to Nevin Lawson for playing a good game. Kudos to Jeff Heath, and Derek Carr keeps balling out, man. Derek Carr is the second best quarterback on third down in the NFL right now. If we're going by PFF score, Derek Carr trails Aaron Rodgers by 0.1%. Derek's sitting at an 87.2 PFF grade on third down, which is really great, and only behind Aaron Rodgers, and he's ahead of Big Ben and Tom Brady. And if you go and look at what Derek Carr and John Gruden have been able to do the last 2 years on third down, it's really impressive. Looking at the numbers, you see right here on the screen, the list goes back to 2016 of Derek Carr's passer rating and yards per attempt on third downs, and you'll notice a significant jump from 2019-2020 as opposed to 2016 through 2018 in yards per attempt, 2 yards plus, and passer rating shooting up over 100. So look, whatever John Gruden and Derek Carr got going on, it's working. Now we've seen plenty of media coverage about John Gruden doesn't like Derek Carr. This relationship's never going to work out. Derek Carr's not the guy. But look, they're making strides. They're doing things together. They're working on things, and John Gruden is pulling the best out of Derek Carr, and we're seeing it. Derek Carr's having one of the best years of his career, firing on all cylinders. So we got to start giving this guy more kudos. Proof is in the pudding, in my opinion. You can sit here and hate all you want, but the dude is doing it, man, on all facets of the game right now. So when I see things like this, man, it fires me up because I'm not a Derek Carr stan. He's not the end all be all. He's not the only one in my eyes. I think we can always get better as a team, right? But in my opinion, Derek is a great leader. He's a guy who's hungry. He wants to win, and he's playing with a chip on his shoulders. And when I look into Derek Carr's eyes on game day, I see a player who's focused and ready to go out and make some plays. Some people say you look in Derek Carr's eyes and he looks scared and he doesn't look like he has it. That's not the case for me. I look into his eyes and, man, those things are piercing, bro. Like, he looks ready to go. He's got the furrowed brow. He's got that dead stare of just absolute focus. And he does it in a way that's kind of reserved, but you still get what you need out of it. Like, when you hear him talk pregame in the huddle, he's not screaming at you. He's not doing anything crazy, but he's letting you know, look, we're all we got. We're in this together. Let's go out, give it all you got. I'm going to give it all I got. So, like, as a leader, I love Derek Carr. I think he's a good example for young guys. I think he's smart, and I think he's got what it takes. All right, let's reel it in from the Derek Carr TED Talk a little bit. I got a little ahead of myself there. I didn't plan on going on a big Derek Carr tangent today. Let's jump forward into what's going on this week against the Chiefs. Let's talk about injuries, COVID list, game plan type stuff. Let's get it. The Raiders placed Clelin Ferrell and Lamarcus Joyner on the COVID reserve list. Clelin tested positive. Lamarcus Joyner was a close contact. After Clelin tested positive again on the 17th, the Raiders placed 7 more players on that COVID list. And it's almost the whole starting defense. It's Jonathan Abram, Malik Collins, Jonathan Hankins, David Irving, Isaiah Johnson, Arden Key, and Kendall Vickers. We also have Corey Littleton and Trent Brown, Lamarcus Joyner, and Clelin Ferrell on that COVID list. So these new 7 guys have been placed on there as high-risk contacts. That means they're going to miss practice. And we saw this happen with the offensive line before the Bucs game and how detrimental that was to that week's game. Fingers crossed that these guys can prep via Zoom or whatever and be clear to play and just be healthy, rested, and go out and have a good game, because it is the defense. And this Chiefs offense is no joke. So this is kind of turning into a little bit of a perfect storm for the Chiefs to come out of their bye and beat up on a Raiders team that didn't get to practice all week. But hey, fingers crossed that these guys, they just take their time, get a little rest, they come out fresh, and they play hot and fast. Clelin Ferrell ended up testing positive a couple days in a row now, so his likelihood to play is pretty low. We probably aren't going to see Clelin Ferrell back for this game. If everybody else tests negative, they'll be fine. They'll be ready to play. I don't think we're going to have Corey Littleton back, which maybe is a good thing, maybe is a bad thing. After the way Nicholas Morrow and Nick Kwiatkowski played against the Broncos, could be a blessing in disguise. Nicholas Morrow has really turned the corner for me as a guy who I think can be pretty good for this team. So I'm excited to see what he can do against the Chiefs team, who is going to try to expose that linebacker core with Travis Kelce. That's going to be interesting. Yeah, it looks like Clelin Ferrell's probably not going to be playing this week, and we're not going to have Trent Brown, probably not going to have Corey Littleton. So those are some things that do hurt this team. If there's anything to look forward to, it's that Kolton Miller is back practicing. That's huge. We need him to be healthy this week. And also, the Chiefs placed 3 offensive linemen on the COVID list as well. Mitchell Schwartz, their starting tackle, he has been injured for like 3 weeks or so, and now found himself landing on the COVID list. So those guys aren't going to be able to practice. So, Raiders defense has guys that aren't practicing. The Chiefs offensive line has guys that aren't practicing. Maybe it balances itself out a little bit. But that's really the only thing that the Raiders got going for them on that front, is that the Chiefs are battling the COVID thing as well. Now, here's a situation that I would hate to see happen. We've seen the Raiders moved out of primetime once this year. If they do it for this game, I'm going to be freaking livid. This is a huge game. Not only Raider Nation, not only Chiefs fans, but I think the whole NFL world is going to be tuning into this game on Sunday Night Football. The way that these two teams are playing, the rivalry, the fact that the Raiders are the only team that have beat the Chiefs this year, this is going to be a huge story and a huge game, and a really fun one to watch on primetime. So they better not slate the Raiders out of primetime this week, because I got big plans for this game. I'm ready to go out, party, have a good time, and freaking enjoy a huge W. Even if the Raiders lose, I'm still going to have fun watching this game. I love to watch my team in primetime. I know we all do. It's a big thing. You only get a handful of them a year. Some teams only get 1 or 2 primetime games. So fingers crossed that the NFL doesn't screw the Raiders, but as Raider fans, we know that the NFL loves to give it to the Raiders. So, hey, like I said, fingers crossed, everybody. Cross your toes, cross your fingers, and let's hope for the best, man. I mentioned the return of Kolton Miller. That's huge. Also, Maurice Hurst is limited in practice this week, so hey, maybe we'll get him back for this game. That'll be huge, especially with the other guys that landed on the COVID list on that defensive line. We need Maurice Hurst to come back, have a good week of practice, and have a good game. If there's any positives, Max Crosby's not on that list. So those 2 guys really got to focus this week and get ready for the game. As far as game plan goes, I think Gunther and the Raiders defense played about as perfect as you could against the Chiefs the last time that they played them. So I'd like to see more of that. Play conservative, play coverage, put a spy on Mahomes, rush 3 or 4, and keep the game in front of you. And as far as offense goes, play aggressive. Get out there, go take some shots early, get some points on the board, and try to stay ahead. The same thing that we saw last time we played the Chiefs, right? A couple deep shots early, get over there, score some points, keep your foot on the pedal, and make the Chiefs play from behind. That way you know that they're going to be throwing the ball a little bit more. You can be more successful in playing that coverage football instead of, coming up playing the run or throwing blitzes all over the place. The Raiders had a lot of success with not blitzing against the Chiefs. So I'd like to see another round of that. Same thing. Now, let me preface that by saying this. The Chiefs have had 2 weeks to prepare for the Raiders, and they are pissed off. Apparently Gruden and the Raiders did a little bit of a victory lap around the Chiefs stadium after they beat them, and I don't think Andy Reid took that very lightly. So, look, these Chiefs are going to come out. Like I said, they've had 2 weeks to study. They know what we did last time, so they're going to make adjustments. I said more of the same thing, but obviously there's going to be little tweaks within the Raiders' game plan that we're not going to know until we see them. But for the most part, there's been a winning formula laid out when you play the Chiefs. The Patriots did it. The Raiders did it. You play coverage. You spy Mahomes, and you keep the game in front of you. Don't get beat deep for the big chunk plays. And it seemed to slow the Chiefs down a bit. So expect the Chiefs to be ready for that, and expect Andy Reid to draw something up on offense to counter that. But I think that's all you can really do against this offense is do what works and try your best to keep the game in front of you. Now, in my initial prediction before the season started, I had the Raiders losing this game. I had the Chiefs sweeping the Raiders. Now, this team has come out and it's been very impressive, a lot more impressive than I thought the Raiders would be. So I'm excited about that, and I'm ready to change my prediction, man. I think the Raiders are going to go and put a second smackdown on these Chiefs, and when they do, the whole nation, not just Raider Nation, but the whole nation's going to know that the Raiders are Super Bowl contenders. It's going to be a big wake-up call. And, man, I can't wait for that. I cannot wait for Monday morning. Now, look, it's the Chiefs. It's the Super Bowl champs. You can't be overly confident, but I just got a feeling in me. I got a feeling that this is going to be a damn good game, and the Raiders are going to come out on top. They've been playing some good football, and this win is huge. This win right here is a culmination of John Gruden coming back and restructuring this team, getting rid of Khalil Mack and Amari Cooper and dumping everybody for draft picks and bringing on Mike Mayock and totally building this team in his image. And this is the game, I think, to really prove that this Raiders team is for real. This is the one. And I think they'll do it. I think Gruden knows the importance of this game. I think the players know the importance of this game, and I think they're fired up. To go out and sweep the Super Bowl champs, it's a big deal. On primetime, it's a big deal. And we saw what happened last time we played in primetime. Went out and beat the Saints. Nobody thought we'd do that. Storms are brewing, baby, and the autumn winds are blowing. It's time to pillage, baby. Let's get it, Raiders. Hey, that'll do it for me, guys. Peace out. Much love. Catch you next time with my reaction after the game. Peace.